The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with the familiar sound of condescension as Ambassador Zex Thara of the Dominion Empire addressed the assembly. Her forearms gestured dramatically, each movement calculated to emphasize humanity's perceived inadequacy. "Honored delegates," she hissed through her translator, "the humans request military assistance against the Void Swarm. Yet what can these soft creatures offer in return?" Her mandibles clicked in what passed for laughter among her species. "Their soldiers cannot even survive in basic combat environments without their primitive armor. Their reflexes are laughably slow. Their strength is pitiful." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. The crystalline architects chimed their accord, their faceted bodies refracting light in patterns of amusement. The massive Corvin delegates rumbled their approval, their rock-like exteriors shifting with what might have been mirth. Even the ethereal drift-touched flickered in harmonious mockery. Admiral Sarah Chen sat quietly at the human delegation table, her weathered hands folded, her gray hair pulled back in a regulation bun. At 63, she had seen more combat than most species saw in their entire evolutionary history. Thigh scars on her face told stories that these creatures couldn't begin to comprehend. "Perhaps," continued Zexthara, "we should simply let the Void Swarm consume their little planet. After all, what loss would it truly be?" Chen finally stood. The chamber didn't quiet. Why would it? She was just another weak human. "Delegate Zexthara," Chen said, her voice carrying despite its quietness. "You mentioned our soldiers are weak." "Indeed, Admiral. Your species has only existed for, 200,000 years? My people have waged war for over 3 million. The Corvin have fought for 5 million. What could you possibly know of true warfare?" Chen nodded thoughtfully. "You're right. We're young. We've only been fighting for about 12,000 years of recorded history." She paused. "But in that time, we fought approximately 1,400 distinct conflicts, major ones. That doesn't count the smaller engagements, rebellions, civil wars, and what we call police actions." The chamber began to quiet slightly, though more from confusion than respect. "You see, something interesting happened when humanity reached the stars," Chen continued. "We discovered that most species fight wars the way we used to fight duels. Formal, structured, with rules." She smiled, and something in that expression made the nearest delegates unconsciously shift away. "We learned something different." She activated her hollow projector. The first image showed a muddy, crater-scarred landscape. "This is Verdun, 1916. Humans fought for 10 months over 10 kilometers of worthless ground. 750,000 casualties. Why? Because neither side would yield." The image changed. "Stalingrad, 1942. Urban warfare in freezing conditions. Soldiers fought, room by room, floor by floor, sometimes for a single building, for months." Another shift. "Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria." With each name, the chamber grew quieter. "The Dominion Empire," Chen said, looking directly at Zexithara, "has fought 17 wars in its 3-million-year history. Impressive longevity. The Corvin maybe 30 wars in 5 million years. The architects, being crystalline, prefer not to fight at all. They've had perhaps 6 conflicts total." She advanced to the next image, a recruitment poster showing a young human in military fatigues. "This is Private Martinez, 22 years old, by your standards, barely more than a larva. But he's already fought in 3 different star systems. His grandfather fought on Earth. His father fought in the Proxima campaign. Warfare isn't something we study, delegates, it's something we inherit." "Preposterous," Zexithara clicked. "Raw aggression is not the same as military prowess." "You're absolutely right," Chen agreed. "Which brings me to my next point." The hologram shifted to show a tactical display. 6 months ago, a Void Swarm scout force encountered the human patrol vessel Thermopylae. Crew of 80. They were outnumbered roughly 1,000 to 1. The tactical display began to animate, showing the engagement. Captain Rodriguez had 2 choices: run or fight. The swarm expected him to run. That's what every other species has done. Instead, he did something the swarm had never encountered in 2 million years of conquest. The display showed the small human vessel charging directly into the swarm formation. He rammed the command ship at full velocity, then detonated his ship's reactor core. The explosion took out the entire scout fleet. Chen paused. The swarm had never encountered a species that would choose mutual destruction over retreat. The chamber was now completely silent. The void swarm is a hive mind, Chen continued. It learns from every encounter, adapts, evolves. But it can't adapt to something it can't understand. And it doesn't understand humans. She smiled again, that cold, predatory expression. Because we don't fight fair. We don't fight honorably. We fight to win, by any means necessary. She advanced to the final image. A group photograph of elderly, humans in military dress uniforms, their chests covered in medals and ribbons. These are the veterans of the human colonial wars. Average age, 78. They've been fighting the void swarm for 6 months now. The image zoomed in on their faces, scarred, weathered, but absolutely determined. The swarm keeps expecting them to break, to run, to surrender when the odds become impossible. But these humans have been in impossible situations before. Chen looked around the chamber. Every other species fights until fighting becomes unprofitable, then seeks terms. Humans fight until the enemy stops existing. It's inefficient. It's brutal. It's completely irrational. Her smile widened. It's also why the swarm hasn't taken a single human world. She sat down. We're not asking for charity, honored delegates. We're offering you something no other species in the galaxy possesses, soldiers who simply don't know how to quit. The silence stretched for several minutes before the Corvin delegate spoke, his voice like grinding stone. What do you require? Ships, supplies, and clear targets, Chen replied simply. Within hours, the largest military alliance in galactic history was born. The Void Swarm, for the first time in its existence, began to retreat. Later, intercepted swarm communications would reveal their growing fear. The humans didn't just fight. They fought with a terrifying joy, as if warfare itself was their natural state. The swarm had never encountered a species that treated war, not as a necessary evil but as a beloved ancient art form. They had mocked Earth's weak soldiers. They learned too late that humans weren't weak. They were simply carrying the accumulated weight of 1,000 wars, and they knew how to use every ounce of that terrible knowledge.